Good afternoon. We are the members of Quantinuum Committee. It is our pleasure to introduce Mr. Ateet Bansal, a highly experienced finance professional with over a decade of exposure to the Indian financial services and capital markets ecosystem. Over the course of his career, he has worked with reputed organizations and has developed strong expertise in debt investments, fixed income markets, credit evaluation, and risk management. With his practical industry experience and strong analytical background, Mr. Bansal brings valuable insights into how concepts taught in finance courses translate into professional decision making. We are delighted to have you here with us, sir, and look forward to learning from your experiences and perspectives.
Sure,
So, to start off, could you briefly walk us through your career journey and share one key learning from each major phase of your professional life?
sure. So, professionally, I started my career after 2005 when I cleared my chartered accountancy. Joined JM Morgan Stanley. I worked in their wealth management business for 2 years. Then did my MBA from SPJM. Then joined Axis Bank in their project finance division, the infrastructure project finance division, and worked there for 6 plus years. Then joined IDFC First Bank when it became a bank, commercial bank. Worked there for 3 years, and for the last 7 years, I've been part of Nippon India Mutual Fund in the debt investment team. So that's been a journey. Key learning, I think JM Morgan Stanley being my first job, so to speak of, gave me a good exposure, meeting clients, pitching. Every every client is different, every product is different. To pitch products, so technical knowledge is paramount, right? You can be a good orator, but unless you can back it up with good sound technical and fundamental knowledge, nobody will listen to you, right? You can be a very impressive orator, very impressive words. Your language could be very good, but if you don't have the fundamentals and basics right, people will not listen to you for the second time, right? And
Right.
vice versa also holds true, right? You might not be able to express yourself very well, right? But if you are fundamentally very strong, people will try and listen to you because you make a lot of sense, and people will give you importance. Obviously, it will take you that much longer to convince anybody, but you will get there eventually, is my firm belief. And every job or every work that you do, you should take pride in what you're doing, right? If something goes from your desk, you are the person who is responsible for it. You cannot say that somebody else did this and I don't know what it did, because ultimately the buck will stop with you. As long as you take ownership of it and you do what you are supposed to do to the best of your ability, I think even if you commit a mistake or an error, people will tend to ignore it or look over it or try and say that okay, it was a genuine mistake and move beyond. But there is no scope for negligence or carelessness. That's essentially the fundamental characteristics that you have to ensure, and then you keep learning on the job. Each job, nobody is an expert. Today, I can't say after 20 years that I know everything, right? I'm still learning, and I still keep meeting people. I still keep reading a lot of stuff and keep upgrading myself, and the learning never stops. That's the essential characteristic of each and every job profile, essentially, whatever we do.
I would honestly totally agree with what you said, so that we need to constantly upgrade ourselves. Based on what you said before, so the decision to do your MBA, what made you choose finance particularly, even as a career, and what should we students consider, before committing to a field like finance?
So I would suggest don't commit to any field, right? Committing to finance was probably the biggest blunder because all other people have done very well. So go with your gut and do things as they come along. Uh, don't be very fixated that I want to do finance. And in finance, I want to do investment banking. I want to do equity research. I want to do this. All those glamorous things are just in the book, right? A person in finance can become a CEO of a large retail organization, managing 10,000 people at a time, and be earning more than an investment banker who slogs for 18 hours a day, or an equity research analyst who slogs for 16, 20 hours a day, and who who is at the receiving end of all the buy side people. So all those glamorous things or all those things that you have preconceived notions, just don't have them. Go with the flow. If you like it, do it. If you don't like it, there are many other opportunities that will come along the way. So don't be fixated on a thing. And finance is very, very picking up. So in finance, you get very, very straight jacketed and you get typecasted. So in 2, 3 years time, you will get typecasted in a manner that it is very difficult to switch roles. In the sense, you will get within your own industry or within a periphery of industry. You can't really move across industries, which is unlike the situation say in marketing or say in operation or say in general management or anywhere else where it's very easy for you to move industry. And that mobility kind of gives you that flexibility to move to an upcoming industry and give yourself that much more chance to elongate your career or to maximize your objectives in making a successful career out of it. So
Right.
don't get fixated. I think that's the biggest advice to all of you guys who are doing finance or MBA. Don't get fixated on doing only finance roles. Okay. If a general management role comes along, please go ahead and take it. That might be more rewarding intellectually as well as professionally as well.
I think that's honestly really great advice, a very new perspective that we've all heard, I think, one of the first times. So, for us MBA students, starting out, how would you explain the role of analytics in banking, finance, like especially in improving decision making and managing risk?
Analytics is not restricted to anything now. It is all encompassing. In marketing, analytics plays a biggest role in designing a car design or an aircraft design or any design for that matter. Any engineering job also, analytics plays a very important role saying that what people like, how people sit, how people walk, what kind of steps should be there, what kind of height the seat should be there, what kind of view should be there from the front mirror, from the rear mirror. All that is analytics. All what is analytics? Analytics is information or a conclusion that you draw from a set of data. And that data set could be anything. And given the tools that are available in the market currently, I think data is abundant. How does one get information out of it, and how does one make a right conclusion and implement that and make a product or a service, whatever you're doing in whichever field? I think analytics is unparalleled, and it's because there is so much data around the world. Data is a new that analytics is, is is an essential part of it. Nobody can get away from it. Banking and finance would use part of it, but a lot of other people, a lot of other industries use a lot of this thing. Google, Facebook use a lot of data analytics, right? They are not at all related to finance, but a lot of data analytics. So I think everybody uses data analytics. So there is no trade jacketing, and the more you equip yourself, the more you try and make sense of it, the more you try and use those tools, is the more you get better at it.
Thank you so much for that. I think it's truly now in today's year and age, analytics is a part of every field, definitely
Yeah,
not
yeah,
restricted to anything at this point.
correct.
So from the day when you started working, the use of analytics in not just finance, but even in other fields back then, what is the biggest change, from back then to what we today's students are learning, according to you?
I think the source of data is uh, there are multiple sources of data and multiple perspectives of looking at the same data, and there are multiple tools in how you want to use that data and how you want to consume that data. So I think it's increasing and it is not stopping, right? With AI and other things, now you can just feed all the data and ask your queries and use your queries. You don't have to run your own spreadsheets. You don't have to run your own models, or you don't have to run your own macros. That somebody at the back end in the AI team itself will do it. You just ask your queries in plain simple English terms, and it will give you an output. If the tool that you are using is very smart, it will give you a very precise answer. Uh, so, so, so you just need to, so that's where it comes, right? You need to have that general awareness. You need to have that basic common sense that if you ask the right questions, you will get the right answer. It's like garbage in, garbage out, right? If you ask the wrong questions, you will get the wrong answer. There is no substitute for your own knowledge, right? Data analytics will only help you in giving you the right direction. But if you want to go to Kashmir and you ask the address for Kanyakumari, you will land up in Kanyakumari, however
Right.
good the data analysis will be, right? So you need to ask the right questions. This is your understanding, this is your knowledge, and you will get the right answer. So there is no problem. Obviously, the tools have increased manifold. The speed and the capabilities are immense. And sky is the limit, right? What is available today, you will have 10 times better things which will be available tomorrow. So there is no stopping that.
Definitely. What are the biggest differences between how analytics is taught in business schools and how it is actually used in real life financial or just general decision making in a workplace?
Absolutely. See, business schools will teach you theory, right? And they will give you a set of parameters, right?
Right.
It's like a laboratory experiment. Ceteris paribus, everything will work in a manner in which it is supposed to work. But in a practical world, everything is not constant. Everything is moving at all points of time, right? So in a laboratory, if A plus B is C, in practical world, A plus B could be D also because both A and B are moving in directions and the outcomes could be very different because other things are not constant. Whereas in theory or in school or anywhere else, other things are kept constant. There is only one or two variables at a point of time, and you know what those variables are. So
Right.
that's where I said common sense will make a big difference. You will have to eliminate those noises and say that, okay, cause and effect is this, or primary cause and effect is this. If you're not able to determine that, then obviously you know that your variable parameters or your checking parameters are somewhere not complete or not accurate, or you need to ask the different question or a different uh, set of data you need for you to come to the right conclusion. So it's practical. It's very different. But if you don't have the theory weight, you can't apply that in the practical knowledge because you'll not be able to differentiate that actually the cause and effect is a problem or the actual data set itself or the questions that you're asking it is wrong. So for that, you need to have a very sound technical knowledge of how these things work.
Right. Like we need a good foundation of the theory before we can
Yes,
actually learn to implement it.
100%. Because while implementation things will be very, very different. So if you're able to say that okay, these things are different for XYZ reasons, that's a good beginning, right? Then
Mm.
you know the problem and then you can solve those problems. But if you don't know what is whether the data itself is wrong, questions are wrong, or what is interacting, then you'll get or then you'll go all over the place and it will not make any sense for you to where you're going. And then if you arrive at the right decision, it will be by chance and not by design.
That honestly makes a lot of sense that theory is also important. It's not always just the practical knowledge. You can't just jump to that.
100%.
Uh,
100%.
could you explain how analytics is practically used in credit evaluation and risk management? And what should our students, focus on when we're learning in this particular field and area?
So you have a lot of bureau data, right? Credit is when you do individual, you have a lot of bureau data running into 10, 15, 20, 25 years. You know how that person has behaved, what that company has done, how it has profitability has moved, what are the revenue streams. So many things are there. When you study that, you have to see, okay, what did this company do right? What did this company do wrong? At what stage were external factors important or overweighing the performance, or was it more internal? All of these things, uh, global factors, internal domestic factors, supply chain, cost pressures, whole lot of things play a lot of part. So, like I said, there is so much data available that you need to identify. Okay, first you need to identify what is the biggest driver, what is your biggest risk, right? And you need to see then you have a lot of data. Then you say that, okay, this is the biggest risk. What are the two, three parameters that affect the risk, or what is the maximum variation in what type of uh, factors or input will affect that risk? And then you see what has happened over the 20, 25 years on those factors. As long as you are able to convince yourself that these things are under control or can be managed, that's how you draw your decisions, because all of the things would have changed at every point of time. And but that's what I said. You need to focus on the right things. Focus on two, three, four, 5 points, right? Because 80-20 rule is 80% what affects uh, could be the four, five factors, and 20% could be hundred of factors. If you focus on correcting all 100 factors, you will not reach it. So you need to focus that, okay, because 100% nobody can be right? There is no perfect scenario, and that only happens in libraries or laboratories. In practical world, as long as you get 80% right, I think you are doing a fairly good job of it.
Right. Um, how does analytics help professionals track portfolio performance and respond to changing market or economic conditions?
That's a continuous process. You have a lot of tools and you have a lot of data flowing in for you. You set your triggers, you set your early warning signals, you set your other credit parameters, and as and when those change, you make your decisions to buy, sell, hold, or whatever you want to exit out of one stock, or whatever you want to do. So all those data parameters you need to track, and there are various tools available, and you keep looking at it, and you keep updating those parameters. And given the current world and current scenario, it is not one-to-one correlation. If US is attacking Venezuela, oil prices could go up, it could affect your borrower, right? You are no longer involved, right? India is not affected, none of the Indian companies are affected directly. But indirect effects would come on to your portfolio companies. Reliance is buying a lot of Venezuelan crude oil, right? Now that will stop. Somebody else is doing something. ONGC has a lot of investment in Venezuela. Those money will not come back. So there are second order and third order derivative impacts. So all that stuff is something which you need to be practically aware, right? No data analytics tool will give you a direct relation. That is for you to build on it, saying that, okay, this has happened, what could it affect? And that's where your thinking comes into play. It will only just prompt you something. And see, understand, analytics is a post facto thing, right? Things have happened, that data is fed into it, then you analyze that data, and that will give you a conclusion, right? But
Right.
can you use that data and say that, okay, this is happening, this is a trend, it could affect in future, is what will make you a better professional, because that is when you will be able to take a proactive decision. Because after everything has happened, 1 year afterwards, I tell that, okay, Reliance's stock price has gone by 10% down because US attacked Venezuela. It does not make sense because I've already lost my money. But can you do it earlier, as quickly as possible, as early as possible? If you are able to stop your losses at 5%, 6%, that is where you will succeed, right? Because at 10%, everybody knows that, oh, yeah, loss हो गया, अभी क्या करें? There is no
Right.
way to reach it.
Like just basically staying up to date, always be
Yeah,
aware.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Awareness, general awareness, practical sense, common sense, these are paramount. You can't escape that.
So, from your experience, what are the limitations of financial models and how should students learn to combine data with judgment?
Financial model at some point of time are a model, right? Essentially, finance is more an art. You already, it's an Excel sheet, right?
Right.
Like I said, you know 1 plus 1 is 2. It can't be 3 on an Excel, right? So whatever answer you want, you can input those parameters or you can change those variables in that manner. So essentially, if you have certain prejudices and biases, you will design your model in that manner, right? But if you're true to yourself, right, just focus on the data, just objectively look at the data and not have any preconceived notions or prejudices or biases while looking at the data, while preparing your model, while doing anything else. Unless you are doing that, I think you'll get to a stage where you'll be able to be more precisely or more accurately predict. Otherwise, it's all a sham, right? Financial modeling, all of us are doing. I will tell you that most of it is a scam because the answer is what you want, and this is that you design the input variables, so the answers will be what you always wanted. So that's where it is. So if you're true to yourself, just don't focus on the outcomes, focus on the process, focus on the data, be objective, and whatever the result comes, respect it and move forward.
Right. So basically, our personal bias towards the data, what we
Yes,
want the outcome should be, should not come in the way.
not at all, not at all.
Right.
Don't vitiate the process.
Okay. So, which analytics related skills or capabilities have the highest real world impact for students, who are aiming to work in BFSI?
I am not a technical person, so I don't really know which analytic tools will help you, but you, whatever you can lay your hands on, whatever you can understand, whatever you can grasp, be open to everything. Don't get fixated that this is what is required, that is what is required. Everything and anything should be used, and you should work towards developing your skills as much as possible because this is your website. Today, as students, nobody will question you or nobody will stop you, right? Once you step out in the professional world, it's a cutthroat competition. Nobody is there to help you, right? Uh, Today, everybody will help you and guide you and tell you and advise you, and you can also gain whatever you want to do. Once you step out of that college premises, you are in a world where people are at each other's throat and people will not necessarily help you in that.
As you said, constantly updating ourselves and
Correct.
upgrading ourselves as well, so that as the competition is there outside, we can always try to, be in the lead.
100%.
So finally, the what specific advice would you give MBA students to use analytics effectively and efficiently, and also build ethical long-term careers in finance?
Be true to yourself. Be true to the job that you're doing. Be honest in doing what you're doing. Don't have biases and don't get your personal preferences or personal interest while doing your work. Right? As long as you keep your personal interest aside from your professional stuff and focus on what you're doing professionally very, very efficiently and very, very clearly, I think you will be a very successful person. There is no problem if you do things in an honest and in a clear manner with a lot of common sense and with a lot of situational awareness. See, a model might malfunction and give you some output. So if you are not, at some point of time, you need to step back and take a bigger picture outlook, saying that, okay, this model is working, but it's not working to my uh, uh, parameters or in the way it should work, right? So you just need to step back and see that have I made a genuine error, right? It's not. Uh, it may be possible that sometimes the genuine error is right. So you need to just step back, take a look at the bigger picture, and say that okay, I probably have made a genuine error. Ask somebody to relook at it, correct it, and you're even if somebody says that okay, no, it's all right, then take it and accept it and say that okay, this is not working and this is something which is not giving me the right answer. So maybe there is something wrong with the way I have designed the model itself. That time. So be it, and move on.
That honestly makes a lot of sense, not being like not always being true to ourselves and being open to criticism as well, taking it as constructive feedback and not, taking it to our ego and always wanting to learn. I think
Correct.
we've all learned a lot today, so you've shared some great advice, and just hearing about your experiences have been very motivating. So thank you so much for joining us
Okay.
today. It was honestly lovely talking to you.
Thank you. Okay. Bye.